Confined to a secluded rest home and trapped within his stroke-ridden body, a former judge must stop an elderly psychopath who employs a child's puppet to abuse the home's residents with deadly consequences. Today we are watching The Rule of Jenny Penn.
Hello?
Oh my god. Oh my god. Hi. We're back.
We are back after taking a week off
I know.
due to
Sickness.
varying illnesses.
Varying illnesses. Yeah.
Anywhere from allergies to stage 4.
Exhaustion.
Stage 4 exhaustion.
Stage 4 exhaustion.
Stage 4 exhaustion.
Well, if you forgot who I am, I'm Chris, and I'm the horror weenie. Let's just say that.
And I am Legend, the horror buff. Just say that too. Yeah, this week we did do The Rule of Jenny Penn. Shudder original and IFC, but Shudder original. It came out in 2024. I think it got put on Shudder this year though.
It had to have.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, it just came out on Shudder.
Yeah. 2025, but I think they were doing the festival circuit in 2024, which is why that date came up. But it was directed by James Ashcroft, and it stars Jeffrey Rush. I mean, we all know him from the Pirates of the Caribbean movies as Barbossa and The King's Speech.
I'm like, yes, that is his defining role.
Yeah, Barbossa.
He wasn't in anything else.
That's it. John Lithgow, who has been in many things: Roll According to Garb, Harry and the Hendersons, Third Rock from the Sun.
I like that show.
It was a good show.
It was a good show. Jane Curtin is in that too. I love her.
Oh, Jane Curtin's amazing.
Yeah.
He was actually.
She wasn't in this though.
Also in a no, she wasn't. He's actually in a movie that I would like to do at some point, which is the Twilight Zone movie.
He's in
is the guy on the plane.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Terror
part.
at 30,000 feet.
Yeah,
it's the one William Shatner originally did for the show.
Yeah.
And then we also have oh my god, George Glenn
George Glenn Hair.
I believe. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I believe he was the older gentleman that was with him in the room.
Oh, he was the Maori.
Yeah, the Maori
guy.
The Maori man.
Yeah.
The indigenous to New Zealand.
Yes, this movie took place in New Zealand, which I was not expecting. John Lithgow with his vaguely vaguely Kiwi accent.
As we know, he's not actually from
No. Well, neither is Jeffrey Rush.
No.
So.
Well, and he never actually even put on an accent.
No, he didn't. He was full English.
Which, I mean, they are kind of colonized by the British kingdom, right?
Well, yeah, they dropped off their
under the UK
prisoners in Australia.
Right.
They probably migrated over to New Zealand. Yeah.
We love a good colonization.
Especially Australians, they're the worst. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, they're racist. Like, there's still so much persistent racism.
Yeah, I will say New Zealand's gotten better, but
I don't
still
think New Zealand
pretty
is as bad. They
Yeah.
do tend to honor the Maori a bit more, but I don't really know for sure. I don't know enough about New Zealand.
It sucks because I still want to go.
I would go to New Zealand. I have no interest in going to Australia. I have no interest because to me it just seems like a barren United States, like with just like two like with like a couple of big cities, and then that's it. It's wasteland and things that will kill you otherwise. Not interested.
No. Also, I will say this podcast does support Indigenous people.
Yes, I don't necessarily support Australia in general, but I do support the Indigenous people.
Yeah, when your normal spiders are huntsman spiders the size of dinner plates,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But then, New Zealand is just like rolling hobbit hills. So
love it.
It's gorgeous.
I know. If I can visit
Green.
this Lord of the Rings set, done.
Yeah. Anyway, we watched The Rule of Jenny Penn.
Yeah.
And
The Rule of Jennifer Pensley.
So I think the Jennifer Pensley. We've gotten into my least favorite genre of horror now.
Elderly abuse.
Elderly abuse. No, like I almost this isn't as bad as some of them, but it does verge on like torture porn, which I hate.
Oh, yeah.
And I cannot watch.
Yeah, I feel like there's a difference between, you know, slasher, somebody who's a killer, and then somebody who literally just tortures people for fun.
Yeah, I have a hard time with movies like that.
And it's weird because Saw is kind of both.
It is.
But it's more torture porn later on than it is that.
Yeah.
Maybe the first two were good, and then, yeah.
I will, for the purposes of scientific study for this podcast, I will watch the first one.
Just for science.
Just the first one. I have no interest in it. I will barely get through the first one.
I will tell you right now, as many times as I've seen basically all of them, I have no interest in watching all of them just for the podcast. One of them is fine.
Okay.
And the first one is actually pretty good because it is James Wan who did The Conjuring, and Lee Wanell did write it, who did the Insidious movies and The New Invisible Man and all that. He wrote it, and he's in it. But yeah, this obviously isn't as bad as the Saw movie when it comes to the level of mutilation. But when it comes to torture, it is pretty bad, and it's like always hard. Like, you know, we all get annoyed with older people, but it's really hard watching older people get tortured like that.
Anyone getting tortured like that.
I just feel like I think about my grandparents, and I'm like, I would kill somebody if they decided to do that.
I think I just have a hard time with that, and with what is the there's a word for this. Where you're making the other person seem like they're crazy.
Gaslighting?
Yes. I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's gaslighting.
Gaslighting's not real, though. You're just crazy.
Oh, okay.
No, I completely understand that. And as, you know, probably both of us have experienced gaslighting in our lives at some point. It's just, you know what it's like to go through that and deal with it. So whenever people don't believe you and just think you're crazy, it's just like, okay, listen, please. Like, yeah. But it also reminds me of not just in elderly homes, but also like in psychiatric hospitals, especially back in the day, that the more you said you weren't crazy, the more they thought you were crazy. Yeah. It's like, no, I'm trying to explain to you, I should not be here because I'm actually better. Yeah. But because I'm saying I'm better, you just think I'm crazier. Yeah. And it's like, that's not helpful in any sense. I just feel like it just ruins people's mental health even more. Yeah. Doing that. Well, what I will say, so the very beginning of this, we got Jeffrey Rush as a judge. We get him as a judge. Him speaking normally is just very Shakespearean. Mm-hmm. It just sounds very Shakespearean.
I love his voice.
Yeah. Even in other movies, like The King's Speech and even as Barbossa, it's very, like, he's got that voice for, like, stage acting.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah. It's like watching Ian McKellen.
Oh, yeah. Patrick Stewart.
Or, like,
in anything. Like, it could be Star Trek, and he still sounds like he should be on stage. Like,
I do love that. Yeah. I also loved the first time you see John Lithgow in this. The first appearance he makes when... Was he in his room? Was Jeffrey Rush in his room? And then he just looks over at his door. And the door is cracked and you just see John Lithgow's face just staring
at the door.
And he shuts it.
Yeah, they introduced him gradually, and then all of a sudden he was just like there.
Yeah, with his like bright blue contacts.
Oh my god,
terrifyingly bright blue contacts.
They were like, honestly, the scenes where they had shots where they were just focusing on his face for a while,
Yeah.
those contacts really psych you out a little bit.
Oh no, they really do, because it makes him look absolutely insane.
Like crazy.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this man lost it a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of crazy. Probably even before he got old.
Yeah.
Like he just has that kind of look in his eyes where you could tell that maybe he was always kind of a sadistic fuck.
He was.
Yeah.
We find out later he was.
I also love right when they get so Jeffrey Rush has a stroke, gets put into this place. I just love that the first thing you see of the place is that poster that's the emoji with the two eyes on either side of like a parentheses.
Yeah.
A smiley face, frowny face in one, and it's all you decide.
You decide.
I was like, that's great. Because it looked all corporate, but shit. With some old folks stuff, it's like, you decide.
That's a nightmare in and of itself, I think. Being in one of those
Oh my god.
homes, just having to like get along with people that you most likely don't like
Don't know.
or have anything in common
Or
with.
anything in common with. And I will say, I'm glad that, like, never had to put my grandparents in one of those.
Yeah.
And, like, some of them, I think, are probably good and help people. And there's obviously hospice that, like, helps people be comfortable and everything and whatever.
Yeah.
But, I mean, even minus this movie, you hear stories about those places sometimes and how older people are treated, or you get a news story about, like, this one nurse who decided to torture a bunch of old people because he was crazy, and then, like, he gets arrested finally, but all these people had to go through all this hell, and nobody believed them, and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah. So this movie shines a light
It kind of does, because it's like the entire time it's happening, like, where is the staff? The staff in this movie is just like, they're there, and then all of a sudden when shit's happening, they're like, we're gone.
Yeah, and they don't care.
They don't
really.
care.
Yeah.
And they really show that they just don't listen to people. They're kind of like, I mean, a lot of them are extras, but even the people who do have lines as the staff, it's like they are just extras.
Yeah.
Like they just don't.
Yeah.
They show them just not giving a shit. Just like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just routine for them, and then they just don't care, and then it doesn't give them any personality, because it's trying to show that these people just don't really give a shit about these people. Like,
Yeah.
we're just here for work.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, not because we actually care about these people.
Yeah. There was lots of uncomfortable, claustrophobic shots in the movie.
Yeah.
Especially at the beginning. I think they just want to establish.
Yeah, it was the shots, and then they really liked to use abrupt sound and editing to make you feel stressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know it's because they like, oh, you're with Jeffrey Rush right here, and we're like really close on his face, and then we have John Lithgow in the background laughing super loud at something, and that's all he can hear, but then this person's trying to talk to him, and this person's doing this, and it's just like, oh my god. Like, it's just like, it makes you feel his overwhelmingness as the audience member. And I thought they did a good job with that, because I mean, I was sitting there getting anxious and annoyed. Like, oh my god, please.
Yeah. I didn't have a good feeling with this movie.
The entire movie.
It did not feel great.
Because I mean, I've had that with other movies too, like Hereditary. Like, that movie just makes you feel not safe the entire time. It makes you feel uncomfortable the entire time. It does make you
feel uncomfortable the whole time.
Because you're like, this isn't natural the way things are happening.
Yeah.
And
no.
It feels like something could happen at any moment, and I just do not feel safe right now. Like,
that I think is the key. Is that unnatural feel? Things are not happening the way they would in real life. So you kind of. Yeah, so you don't know where it's gonna go.
Yeah, and like that one obviously gets more supernatural, but even in a more realistic setting like this, if you can make the audience feel just that little bit of just like constant tension, that's like something could happen at any moment. This does not feel right. This does not feel natural the entire time. I feel like that's great. Yeah, because as fun as jump scares can be, I think the real horror is the anticipation and the waiting for something to happen. And if a movie or doesn't give you the jump scare, it doesn't release that tension. So you just have it the entire time. Yeah. The jump scare is the release. Yeah. Because, you jump and then you laugh at yourself because it was scary and it was whatever, and the tension's gone. if a movie does this, then it's just tension the entire time. And I feel like that's what real scary stuff is. Because if you're in a situation where you're feeling scared, or you feel like, oh, I think I heard a voice in the next room or something like that, it's like there's no real release to that.
No.
Like, jump scares do happen in real life in the sense of like somebody scaring you or things like that. But if you're like alone and something like that, a ghost isn't just popping out at you and making some jump scare happen or something.
That doesn't happen to you?
I mean, it does. But you know what I mean? Like, if you're frozen in a situation where you think like this person over here is acting weird or this whatever, it just stays. And I feel like that's more of a natural way for that to happen.
Yes. It is.
Because all of us think like, oh, I would be amazing in a situation. All of us freeze. That fight or flight, it happens, but sometimes your brain has no idea what to do for a second.
Yeah.
We've all frozen.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think those are the things that make something scary.
Yeah.
Here's my problem. I want to watch a movie to be completely taken out of reality. That's why I watch them. That's why I liked, I love The Conjuring and stuff like that, because it feels not real.
Yeah.
It's
one of those, it's still scary and creepy, but it's like not, it's past a point of reality where it's like we're still being like entertained.
Yeah.
And not like sensing reality the entire time.
Yeah.
Like Hereditary, like at a certain point it gets to that when it comes like, oh, demons and whatever. But like,
that's when I got more comfortable watching.
Yeah. But in the beginning, it's like death, dealing with grief, and all this stuff, and that's more realistic. So it's like towards the end, whenever Toni Collette's like floating on the walls and shit like that, then it's like, okay, now we're kind of out of the reality.
And that's when it became less scary for me and more fun.
Yeah.
But that's my thing. I don't like things that are too
realistic,
real. Not even realistic, but just real.
Just real. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That make you feel like real emotions that like I could feel this outside of watching a movie.
See, that's my problem. I have enough of those bad feelings when I'm not watching a movie.
Yeah.
I don't need it when I'm watching it because it makes it 10 times worse for me.
I feel like a lot of the reasons. I don't know. I mean, I grew up watching a lot of horror movies, not with my mom because she cannot handle horror movies. And every time I like tell a lot of the times when I tell people like horror movies is one of my favorite genres, horror and thrillers and whatever, they're always like, "How do you do that? I can't do that. Like I can't do this." I don't know. I feel like, especially in movies like when I was first watching them, like The Shining and Psycho and things like that, it was like I kind of got lost in it because of those emotions would take you over.
Yeah.
Of like that tension and that whatever, so you kind of just get sucked into it a little bit, and so it's kind of like you're there and you're experiencing it.
Yeah.
Especially when somebody can do it well, like, and I've liked movies obviously that have jump scares. I'm not saying all jump scares are bad.
Yeah.
Some of them are like used to just have fun. It's like, oh, tension, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's just my friend jumping out at me, like shit like that. But I mean, there's obviously movies that rely on it too much.
Oh yeah.
And then it's like, okay, I don't need a jump scare every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, build up the tension a little bit for you to. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I get lost in it more because, I mean, I obviously watch other movies, comedies and dramas and all that, and I still get lost in those too. But horror was really the first experience I had where it was like, I feel like I'm in this, in this moment.
Well, I get really lost in it too, and I have to actively pull myself out of it.
It's crazy
and
sometimes.
Look at, that's the only way I can enjoy it is if I, like a movie like this, the only way I could enjoy it is just being like, thinking about like John Lithgow, like doing this, and it's like almost comical, and then like.
Because he's, I mean, normally a comedic actor.
Yes.
I don't know if I've never seen The World of Garb. I think that one was more of a dramatic movie.
I haven't seen it.
But like when people normally think John Lithgow, they think Harry and the Hendersons or Third Rock from the Sun and things like that. And it's like he was normally funny.
Yeah.
So when you see him in a movie like this, it's like weird. And he did a good job at being creepy.
Oh yeah.
But like it's just weird because you normally think like he's supposed to be making me laugh.
Well, like the line between comedy and horror is pretty thin.
Yeah.
Because if you put different music in that movie, it would have been kind of funny.
Yeah.
So
different music, and if you would have edited the timing a little bit,
yep,
it would have been a comedy.
Yeah, it's just it's. I think. Well, I mean, this is kind of like a commonly said thing, but I think Jordan Peele was talking about it as well.
Yeah.
Like how much like comedy horror is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and if you watch his movies, there's a lot of funny moments in his movies,
Mm-hmm.
and they cover at least Get Out and Us. Nope does too a little bit, but I think Get Out mostly covers a very serious subject about race and everything.
Yeah.
And like, but even that has like funny moments.
Yeah.
Because I feel like even when you're scared or getting scared, it's like you're kind of either laughing at yourself because you feel like you're being ridiculous,
Yeah.
or something crazy happens. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard to be as serious at that moment the entire time.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's not bad to add a little bit of comedy into horror.
Yeah. I just think any horror movie though
Yeah.
can be made funny, which I think is
yeah.
wonderful. Which I mean, obviously,
They've
scary movie.
They've done like edit trailers of The Shining where they turn it into a Hallmark Lifetime
like
movie.
a family movie,
family Lifetime
a
movie,
rom-com,
yeah, which is hilarious.
It's great.
And I will say this movie actually, I'm bringing it up now before I sound annoying, had honestly several references to The Shining.
It did.
Which I liked.
I even saw those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One that I liked, especially, so he's going through the pictures. We see that John Lithgow's been there pretty much his entire life.
Yeah.
As a worker and then as a patient.
Yeah.
And that obviously is like, but you've always been the caretaker here kind of situation. But
Exactly.
while he was looking at them, the music, if you listen to the music, it's doing that heartbeat, which is what this music in The Shining does. Is that doom, doom, like that, really that bass.
That's funny.
The first night he wakes up and sees him in his room, it was at 2:37 a.m., which is the room in The Shining is 237.
Oh.
Things like that.
The bathtub also reminded me of
the bathtub.
Yeah.
I liked the way that was shot too.
Of course you did, because it was perfectly balanced.
It was very symmetrical.
It was completely symmetrical.
1 point perspective. Don't worry about it. But I also like it because you can tell what he's trying to do is like maybe he just wants to die.
Oh yeah, totally.
And then he has the realization that no. And then he can't get out of the bathtub. But we don't get to see him doing that. We just see his hand and his legs and everything popping out of the water.
Well, I think he tried to drown himself, but like the human reaction to drowning is to
yourself.
try to save yourself whether you want to die or not.
Yeah.
So
but I like that they don't just show him in the bathtub doing it.
Yeah.
We kind of get it from sounds and from his hand and from like other things. It was just the way they shot that was really cool.
Yeah.
Also a little bit of Dr. Sleep, because we have this cat that walks around and the guy says like that cat knows when people are going to die. And in Dr. Sleep there was a cat in the old folks home that would always go to people's rooms and they were going to die.
Yeah.
And we obviously get that. And the first thing he's like, I wonder who it is or whatever. And it ends up being the guy that lights himself on fire on accident in the movie.
Yeah.
This guy drinking whiskey with a cigarette in his mouth and it drops on his sweater and lights himself on fire.
Yeah.
Which that shot with Jeffrey Rush in his eyes and he's like, help, whatever, that was creepy. It was like creepy but funny.
It was creepy, but then it could easily be funny.
Easily be funny.
I could see that. Do you know what would be funny? I think is he dead? Is Leslie Nielsen dead?
I think so.
I think he is.
Yeah.
He has to be by now. He has to be. He was old when I was.
Can you imagine if they made this movie with him?
Oh my god. That's what I was thinking. Because it just seems like a Naked Gun moment where like he's walking away from the guy in the wheelchair and he lights himself on fire.
Yeah.
And he's still talking about something.
Yeah, it's that like slapstick kind of vaudeville humor.
Yeah.
Like
which I love.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest.
It's hilarious.
I love those terrible movies. I wanted a geriatric battle too, which we got a little bit of that.
We got a tiny bit of it.
Yeah, I wanted like a full
on
fight.
fight.
Yeah.
I thought that was gonna happen in that scene.
Yeah.
I mean, he just smacks him over the face with his cane.
Yeah.
Also, that scene was fucked.
It was very fucked.
That he's like pushed this guy off to the side, is basically about to sexually assault his wife.
Yeah.
And Jeffrey Rush is like on the ground because he threw him on the ground from his wheelchair trying to get back up because obviously he had a stroke, so half his body isn't working.
Yeah.
And he gets up and finally gets up and is able to smack him off with his cane. But it's like, Jesus, I was not expecting any scene like that to get like weirdly sexual assaulty.
Yeah, no.
I mean, there were moments when he's like grabbing the guy's balls with the doll with Jenny Penn, the puppet, and stuff. But I know that was just a mess of them because one of his hips doesn't work anymore, like was hurting and whatever. A lot of that stuff, like watching it in this context is one thing, but like when you really think about it and somebody actually doing that, you're like, okay, this is really fucked up. Like this is insane. I was kind of hoping. I know it's not really about the doll, but based on the trailer and the title, I was kind of hoping there would be something else with the doll, like a backstory with him and the doll, or they never really explained what is fully wrong with him, other than showing that he's sadistic. Obviously, is a sociopath. Yeah. And has a god complex, weird main character syndrome, whatever. But they don't really like.
Well, you see that brochure.
Oh, that says like
communicating through puppets. Communicating through puppets
like that. I just wish there was a little more to that story.
I'm okay without it, honestly.
Fine. I'm just kidding.
Because I don't know. I like.
I mean, I do like the mystery.
I like when things aren't explained.
Yeah.
I do.
I do like the mystery. Also, because when they did gigantic versions of the doll in their heads was so creepy.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's a problem is like sometimes there's too much over-explaining and then they do like a spin-off movie about like the doll or like, you know what I mean?
There's going to be a prequel to the creation of Jenny Penn.
Like I know, right? Like Annabelle or something, you know, because
Jenny Penn the creation.
It's stupid, honestly. Like I don't care. I think I had the same problem with like all of the Star Wars prequel shows that were out because I know what happens afterwards. We already saw it. I don't care.
Yeah,
like I know what happens to this character.
It's like it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, they're well made and maybe well acted, but it's like at a certain point we kind of know what's gonna happen.
Like Obi-Wan, I was like, I don't need this.
No,
I know what happens. I don't need this. I don't need to watch it. So fucking boring to me.
I haven't. I'm so behind on that stuff anyway that I've kind of just given up a little bit on trying to keep up.
Mandalorian was good.
Mandalorian
because it's a completely separate.
It's a science story. I mean, it ties into the movies,
it ties into it,
but it also is still a separate story from them.
Yeah, it's one you've never heard. It's completely, you know, I like that.
And that's the thing is like with franchises like that and things like that. It's nice when you can use that world, make a completely different story. Yeah, using that world. You don't always have to do sequels and prequels to each other. Come up with something new. Yeah. Just in the world. Use the world and come up with something new.
I want to find out who Grogu is. What happens to him?
Can we do Grogu the Creation?
we need like a Grogu series.
Just him a little older.
A little older, like a teenager, you know.
Angsty.
Yeah. That's what I need.
Be like baby Jesus, but the teenage years.
Yeah.
They always seem to skip over those.
Oh yeah, speaking of the doll, I love how creepy it was made just by taking the eyes out.
Yeah, they literally just took the eyes out of a baby doll
because of like the shots where there's light. There's always like backlight.
It's always the backlight.
So the eyes glow and all. Yeah, that's cool.
It's always the backlighting glowing red.
Yeah,
which looks cool because it's almost like you can still make out pupils.
Kind of, yeah.
It almost looked like you could still see eyes moving in the doll.
Yeah,
because the backlighting would create circles in there sometimes.
Oh, and then one time the doll got angry.
Oh yeah, when he looked back at it, he had like an angry face.
His brow was all like.
And I was like, is this just in his head? Like, what's happening?
I know, like, what's happening?
I was like, because this doll's face does not move naturally.
No.
So what's happening?
Yeah, you know, they do touch on like some kind of paranormal thing because like the doll's in his dreams. He sees like giant dolls, like, you know, stuff like that. So I'm kind of like, they did touch on like it being
kind of paranormal. I think it's also kind of just showing the deterioration of his mental state.
That's true.
But I think I think, to me, the reason he's getting worse is because of what's happening. I mean, he's not getting sleep because of it.
Yeah.
He's constantly being, like, tortured.
Yeah.
And it's like, obviously, if he was able to rest and maybe do the things he was supposed to be doing, he could probably get better.
Yeah.
Or at least, more better. Not even if it wasn't fully healed.
It seems like he was getting better...
in the beginning.
At the end, too.
Oh, yeah, and then at the end, whenever he's gone.
Yeah.
And it's like, you've just got rid of this huge thing of negativity, also huge thing of abuse and all this stuff. So it's like, now you're but I mean, he was getting better towards the end, but then the cat does come up to him at the end.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So it's like, he saved probably these other people from this torture, but now it's his time to go.
Okay, yeah.
Is what I got from that, was like, this was his purpose, was to help these people and to break out of his own weird thing, because he talks about how he used to be and then who he became and how he doesn't really like the person he became because all that stuff. And I feel like he became friends with his roommate at a certain point and all that, and then I feel like it was like, yeah, you're supposed to do that, and then you're supposed to help these people, and then the cat's like, okay, now it's fine, it's your time now.
Do you know what? Shut up, because I thought it was a happy ending.
And that's still a happy ending.
I didn't notice the cat.
It's still a happy ending because you see him smile at the cat, so I feel like he knows and can do something peacefully instead of fighting with
it's true.
Anymore. Because he does smile at the cat. I feel like it's still like a nice, peaceful ending.
Yeah, he's probably tired.
Yeah, he's exhausted. It's his time. Like,
he just went through a lot.
He went through a lot. Yeah.
Like, you know what? I'm good now.
He's been doing all this stuff, and I mean, he had that realization that he was literally, like, in the beginning, he was blaming a mother for her kids being sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
He was like, you're culpable because you brought them there. This is your fault. And it's like, okay, I know she's not particularly the victim. It's the kids, but you are kind of victim blaming her right now. Yeah. And I liked his arc whenever you realize it, that he's like kind of getting out of that mindset and he's kind of like realizing stuff around him. Just to have the ending of like, yeah, we killed this guy. We got rid of this thing. It's been torturing people. And now at the end we have people visiting the place, because I feel like the reason nobody did was because of him. I feel like the reason the staff didn't do anything was because of him. Yeah. And now it looks like everything's going back to normal and it's peaceful. So now it's like, the cat's like, it's your time. You did what you were meant to do, and you became a different person. That's what I got from it. Yeah. I read that as a happy ending.
Yeah.
Death isn't always bad.
Yeah. Oh, this movie also had Kiwi mullets.
Oh my god, that one kid with the mullet. I didn't notice it when he was sitting down, but when they left the room, it was all the way down his back. Yeah. I was like, holy shit.
I wonder when those will get popular here.
I liked it.
Like, I kind of like it, I liked it except for like the really like weird
bowl cut on top.
That I wasn't a fan of.
It was like bowl in the front.
It was a bowl cut mullet. I wasn't crazy about that part. Yeah. Mullets, I mean, they're hot, honestly. I'm down with it.
I can agree with that. On most people.
Bowl cuts, unless you are Atsuko, they don't work.
Oh, she does it so well.
She does it well.
She does it very well. I mean, this whole movie, I mean, just... It really also plays up the concept of just getting old in general. Yeah. And it just makes it look so ungraceful. Uh-huh. At the very end, you see people being happy and stuff like that with people, but I think, and I know the reason they did that is because like these people are obviously not talking about this external force that's torturing them or whatever, so they've made it look way worse. Yeah. But it definitely does not make getting old look good. No. Whatsoever. No. And him like slowly getting dementia and the blips he's having, and like you have that compilation where he's with the doctor and it's like he thinks he draws the clock perfectly with the things, and then when he looks at it, it's actually all the way down the side because he like didn't actually do it correctly, and it's I'm like, this is sad. Like, this is just getting really sad.
and I have like a almost crippling phobia of getting old, so although I mean, you know, it's gonna happen one way or the other anyway, but because I really get stressed out about the things I can't control.
Yeah, I feel like that's a lot of people.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
It is a lot of people.
Yeah.
I wish.
That's why I'm sober now, because...
Also 1 year sober.
Yeah, that's true.
So congratulations on that.
Because doesn't AA have some kind of like things
They
you
give you
can't
a chip.
control or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, some saying from them. I didn't do that because it was too Jesus-y. I just did it on my own.
12-step program and all the steps are God. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I can't do that. Works for some people, not for me.
Yeah, I think I was talking to even my mom today about it, and I was just saying, like, I really wish I was one of those people growing up that just didn't have anxiety, who had a level of confidence that was crazy.
Yeah.
Because, like, everybody has anxiety, obviously, about certain things and whatever.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm talking about. Those people that, like, it feels like they don't at all, and
no.
anxiety doesn't register.
It doesn't register. They are just...
overly social. They can do whatever they want, whenever they want, because they just don't care, or, like, they are just able to push past it easily.
Yeah.
When I'm sitting here as a kid and my grandparents are like, can you just run in and see the wait time at a restaurant? And then I hesitate, freeze up, and I can't do it.
Yeah, I had crippling anxiety too. Like,
I would just shut down.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
The same if I got really sad or angry. My brain defense mechanism was just to fully shut down.
If I got really angry, it was stand the fuck back, because...
Oh, yeah. I would end up saying some hurtful shit, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to get over that. Aries moon. But yeah, it's...
Blame the moon.
Yeah.
Blame the moon.
I wish I could be that person who just, like, did not care.
Me too.
Because I overthink everything. Everything.
Yeah. I think it's a crisis of... I mean, I would say our generation. Well, I'm technically a millennial.
You're a millennial.
I'm on that cusp. I'm technically a millennial. I'm on the cusp of millennial and Gen Z.
I don't know. I'm 92. I think even 92, I'm considered a elderly millennial, which is ridiculous.
I'm a geriatric millennial then, because...
like elder millennial, and it's like 1992, and I'm like, yeah, I'm 32, whatever. Like,
yeah,
I'm a millennial.
Yeah.
So we may not be Gen Z. No. And I'm okay with that. Maybe. Just kidding.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I will say that John Lithgow plays an amazing sociopathic, crazy, sadistic
main character syndrome having.
Yeah. It was uncomfortable.
He was really good at making you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, even we were talking about, is, like, you can tell a good actor because, like, obviously he's known for comedy.
Yeah.
But then he's really good in something like this.
Mm-hmm.
And, we've had a bunch of actors like that who were, like, started out in comedy. We always thought, like, oh, they would just be in ridiculous comedies, but then they go to, like, Oscar-winning dramas and, like, even Oscar-winning comedies with more complex characters and things like that. I'm surprised, because Jeffrey Rush has won an Academy Award. I'm surprised John Lithgow never has. He's been nominated, but he's never won an Academy Award.
Oh.
Because this one said Academy Award nominee, and Jeffrey Rush said winner. And I always thought for some reason that John Lithgow would have won an Oscar at some point.
Yeah. For Harry and the Hendersons.
For Harry and the Hendersons, or his small section of the Twilight Zone movie.
Yeah.
But I bring it up because one that I used an example is the remake of the Amityville Horror. And, like, the original obviously is classic. Mm-hmm. The remake, you add in... And I'm not saying Ryan Reynolds is a bad actor. The thing about Ryan Reynolds is he really is just known for comedy. Yeah. And, I mean, most of the movie, and I think their selling point for a good chunk of it was him being shirtless with really low riding pajama pants, whatever. Cum gutters. But, just kidding. But, the thing is like, even him trying to be serious when he's supposed to be going crazy because of the spirits in the house, his timing is just comedic still. Oh. When he says things, it's comedic timing. Oh. Even when he's looking, like, serious and angry and, like, murderous, it just... The beats he hits are comedic. In this, it's like... John Lithgow hit some of those beats, but you can tell it's that kind of comedy that's like, I'm looking like a psychopath kind of comedy. Yeah. and he's just really good at it. And that's just the thing is, like, I just feel like there's a difference between somebody who can do pretty much anything and somebody who really just focuses on one thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, just because, I don't know, people always have that misconception that, like, horror is easy. It's just fun to do and whatever. It's like, yeah, but we also still want to see good performances in these movies.
Yeah, like, good horror is not easy.
No, good horror is not easy.
To make a character that is that that makes people feel that uncomfortable is a difficult thing to do.
Yeah, because you have to really get into a character that you're playing to make people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not always easy getting into the mind of somebody who wants to murder their family.
No, that's the thing. It's like very hard to get into that mindset.
Yeah. Especially because you're an actor playing a role and you're working with other people.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get into that mode of like,
yeah,
I want to hurt this person.
Unless it's easy for them.
Unless you're, unless that just comes naturally to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, we still want to see like good performances in these movies, and it's like, well, because like even Thanksgiving, it's like, yeah, the movie's ridiculous, campy, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like you see that compared to a movie like, yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street is creepy, or it's not creepy. Well, it is creepy, but like cheesy.
Yeah, it's very cheesy.
It's cheesy because it's the 80s.
Yeah.
70s, 80s. Horror movies, and they're cheesy with slasher movies. But the performances in that movie are still good.
Yeah.
Like, Robert Englund still plays a really good creep who has kind of comedic timing.
He is very comedic.
And crazy one-liners, but he's still good at making
bitch.
Yeah. Always the bitch.
I just think of...
he's still good at making you feel uncomfortable.
Was that Rick and Morty? Oh, yeah. They had
Scary Terry, bitch.
Scary
yeah.
Terry, bitch.
Okay. But he's really good at making you feel uncomfortable with this character.
Yeah.
Whereas Thanksgiving, nobody was good in that movie.
No, it's terrible.
Yeah. We still want good performances, at least believable performances, even if they're supposed to be campy characters. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
Because there's a difference. There's a difference between terrible and bad and campy.
Yeah, because sometimes people try to make something campy and it's forced, and then it's not campy.
Yeah, it's like explaining.
Awful.
It's like explaining a joke.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah,
which is, I mean, I love John Waters a lot.
Yeah,
and he's the king of camp.
Yeah,
but then you watch like A Dirty Shame, which is like, I think like one of the last ones he's done, and it's so self-referential, and it becomes almost forced camp, and it's not, to me, a good movie from him.
That makes sense.
It's I when I watched it, I was so disappointed because I was such like a
a
huge super fan of John Waters. He's my favorite director.
Well, and you watch things like Female Trouble and what's the big one? Pink Flamingos.
Pink Flamingos, Multiple Maniacs.
Yeah, it's like when you watch that stuff, you really feel. Oh yeah, polyester. You really feel like we're doing this to be ridiculous, and it's fun, and it's campy.
And then even
it's just if you force that though, it's like.
Yeah, and it wasn't even forced like in like his
even Serial Mom was
his like
fun.
middle ones, like Serial Mom and Crybaby and Hairspray, not the musical, the original
Hairspray.
That's the only one I like. I don't like the musical. I especially don't like John Travolta playing Divine's part. That made me sick to my stomach.
I forgot that was Divine's part.
I hate it so much. But even that, there's a genuineness to it. Oh, and Pecker, which is such a good one of his. If you have not seen it.
Never seen that.
Edward Furlong and Christina Ricci. Amazing.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Actually,
so good.
But yeah, you feel the fun, and you feel the like. You're like, we just decided to roll, and we're just going crazy.
Yeah,
and that's fun.
Yeah.
Whenever you force that, or be like, oh, this is funny because it's like if you have to say that, it's not funny.
I think he almost forced it with Cecil B. Demented as well. Although I really love that movie as well. But,
yeah, there's like a fine line between like actual camp and forcing things.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Also being bad and being campy is also a pretty fine line too.
It is.
Because you can easily slip into being bad from campy.
Yeah, and you could be, you could have terrible acting and it's still good and campy, but there is a very fine line.
Well, and that's what I liked about the 80s slasher movie stuff is like they are really just fun, ridiculous, people dying, campy movies.
Yeah.
And campy not just because Friday the 13th takes place at a camp.
Oh my god.
Just camp in general. It was a bad joke. Puns brought to you by Legend Logs. But yeah, I felt there was some of that in this. And then, those moments of realism. And there was one moment that I did like towards the end. Well, it's the Maori man.
Uh-huh.
And he's trying to do that traditional Maori dance and some music to add him to scare him and stuff, and and then the next scene they're sitting at that thing and he's staring at him while classical music is being played. Yeah. And it's this weird power struggle of Maori traditional music and colonialism. Yeah. And colonization with classical music. Yeah. It's very that moment was very of a struggle between white and indigenous for a second. Yeah. I felt that for a second.
Oh no, yeah, for sure. I hate him just because of the way he eats.
Oh my god, I do not like it. Sorry, but
I've seen people eat like that.
I don't like
and they're all psychopaths.
Cannot stand saliva noises.
Oh, okay, I get what you mean.
I have a really it's like nails on a chalkboard to me.
I just hate.
So I hate it when they do close-ups of people eating.
I hate people holding their fork towards themselves like that. Yeah, I've seen people eat that way, and they're always
peasant.
There's always something wrong with them.
Yeah,
there's something sociopathic about that.
I've seen people in real life eat like that.
Yes, yeah, I have too.
And I'm like, what do you?
And they were all assholes. So there you go.
If you eat with your fork like that, you're probably an asshole.
Probably an asshole.
You heard it here.
Sorry. Oh, I had a friend that worked at a home like this. I mean, it wasn't like this home, but it was, it worked at one of these. Yeah. And the main thing that they are is horny.
I have heard that.
They are hotbeds of just orgies and sex.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I think they even bring that up in Parks and Recreation because she wants to have a sex education STD talk with the seniors and how to use condoms and all that stuff. Yeah. And of course gets shut down by the traditional family league or whatever because abstinence, and it's they're in their 70s. Yeah. Abstinence. What are we talking about?
I mean, they would fuck in the hallways evidently. It was just
that's insane.
Yeah,
that's
crazy,
so crazy.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, hey, get yours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody's slut shaming over here, especially when you're 80 and you might die soon. You might as well go for it.
Do what you want.
Yeah, just be safe about it.
I don't think it even matters if you're safe enough by then. I like the way that he tries to kill him the first time with the inhaler thing. He emptied out all his inhalers.
I was like, oh shit, that's crazy. Because I didn't even think about that. But they kept showing him with the inhaler and bringing it up. And I should have thought, this is going to come up at some point. Yeah. It's like the Chekhov gun. This is going to come up at some point.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah.
And one of the first times they show us that is when he has to run after that lady to get his key card back. And then he ends up having an asthma attack. Yeah. Which that was so fucked. He's like, your family's waiting for you. Lets her out, and then she just drowned in a puddle that she fell into. Yeah. After she got away because she has dementia. And I'm like, this is fucked up.
Pretty fucked up.
And then accidentally switches the key card, has to run after her and loot her dead body to get a friggin' key card back, and then has an asthma attack on the side of the colon. I'm just like, that's so fucked up.
I don't know what I was gonna say. I hate movies like this. I really thought
trash, garbage.
Yeah, I almost had a bit of respect because I thought it was gonna end with when he was dancing around and you thought it was it felt like it was over. They had that ending
moment where the puppet comes at the screen, and I thought that was the credits.
I thought that was the end,
and then it kept going, and I was like, oh, I thought that was credit scene.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, well, I guess they didn't really solve anything, so sure. But then I was like, but it feels like that should have just ended right there.
It felt like it should have ended right there, but then again, it's the horror thing of you think he's gone, and then now he's back.
Yeah.
So
because they did that with the inhalers, where it's he probably died because he didn't show up that night. Yeah. And they had a peaceful night's sleep and all this stuff, and then all of a sudden he's pushing him down the hallway and he's back, and it's like
yeah, pushing him down the hallway, and that's when he
knocks him over in that whole sexual assault
scene happens. Okay.
Yeah.
But
Full
eventually they do kill him by luring him down into the laundry room and smothering him, which is
in that hole in the room that the guy used to hide in whenever he knew he was coming after him.
Yeah.
Which I thought was great.
Oh yeah.
Because at first it kind of just made it seem like he was there alone, and then all of a sudden, nope, sneak attack.
Sneak attack.
Sneak attack. Which was good. I mean, I felt like that was a good ending. I just feel like they shouldn't have like led into that other scene that seemed like it was going to cut off at an ending.
Yeah.
And just gone straight to the other part of the end. I don't know. Like,
yeah.
Overall, like the editing was well done.
Yeah.
Especially the sound editing.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff. And the cinematography was really cool. Especially because like you're in an old folks home that looks very fucking 80s.
Yeah.
And very 80s, 90s, and you're making it actually look kind of artistic and cinematic, which is really cool. And the acting was very good.
Yeah. That was my main like thing is that Jeffrey Rush and John Lithgow were the acting was
great actors. Fantastic.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like, the writing could have done a little more.
Yeah.
And things like that, and like maybe a little more of the story, or I don't know, like it's because it wasn't so much scary as it was God, what did I say? Like not scary. It was more fucked up than it was scary.
Very much so. I didn't think it was scary. It was just
fucked up. Yeah, so in my mind, I mean, I'm giving this about, I mean, do you have anything else?
No.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
Because I was thinking about, I don't know, it was either 3 out of 5 puppets or 3 out of 5 catheters being tugged.
Oh, God.
Because I was watching that and I was like, I know that fucking hurts
that was
bad.
It was not okay.
That was not okay?
It's not okay. I want to give it 2 just because it did not make me feel comfortable, which I know was the point. But it's not my cup of tea.
No.
However, I will give it 3 because of the acting.
Oh, yeah, I was giving it 3 because of the acting and the cinematography.
Yeah.
And the editing. Those are like the 3. I felt like they could have done a little more with certain things in it, and they could have not push it more in the sense of like make it more fucked up.
No.
Go crazier with the torture. I just mean like the story could have been a little more.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And like I love Jeffrey Rush's character arc, but we could have seen that more.
Yeah.
In it. Instead of just like an explanation of it, actually seeing it.
3 Jennies. 3 Jenny. 3 Jenny Pins.
3 Aussies. Oi, oi, oi.
That's Australian, though.
Is that Australian?
I think it is.
I don't know. They do that on Drag Race Down Under, even with New Zealand people there, so I have no idea.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah. They very much separate themselves.
Oh, yeah. They do not like being compared to each other.
No.
They do not like being mistaken for each other.
No.
They are not fans of each other.
No.
Which is crazy to me, but...
Okay, it just depends on what side of the prisoner exchange you were on.
Yeah.
Your ancestors.
Or were you for the emus winning or the Australians? Just kidding.
The emus or the Kiwis?
The emus or the Kiwis, since the emus did win that war against Australia.
They did. Ooh, if you're interested in that, you should watch Puppet History because they have an episode
on the Emu War.
The
Great Emu War in Australia.
It is such a good show. I think that's it. Just the 3 we were both
3 stars.
Agreed. 3 whatevers.
Yeah, because I didn't think it was a terrible movie.
No.
I just felt like, it could have been more.
Yeah.
But, solid acting, editing, cinematography, and it was well made.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Like, subscribe.
Comment.
And, do all the things that you do.
Ask us questions. Tell your friends. We do this for fun. And
force your friends.
Force your friends. Tie them down and open their eyes like a Clockwork Orange.
Yes.
Make sure to scratch their cornea while doing it too.
Yeah.
And force them. I mean, the eyes don't really make sense because this is a
it
podcast,
doesn't make
listening
sense,
podcast.
But that's okay. I just kind of
force their ears open.
Well, we will see you next time.
Hopefully next week.
Goodbye. Legs in the air. Whatever Jenny Penn said. Knees above the. What was it?
Knees above the ground.
Knees above the ground.
Knees above the ground.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Goodbye.